Scenic Hudson was founded in 1963 to protect this beautiful mountain, Storm King. There was a proposal to build a power plant on the northern face of the mountain. The utility company that proposed the project would have blasted the northern face off of the mountain and pumped hundreds of millions of gallons of water out of the Hudson River, stored it in a reservoir created by flooding a forest, what is now Black Rock Forest, and then running the water down to turn a turbine and generate peak period power for New York City residents. Scenic Hudson gathered together people from all over the country, including the northwest corner of Connecticut, to stop this project. It took 17 years for us to win that war, if you will. But in the second year of the fight, we won our founders won a very important decision called the Scenic Hudson decision. It's still known as that in the law books today. And that established the very principle that citizens have a right to be heard on government decisions affecting the environment. That formed the foundation of the National Environmental Policy Act, this country's seminal environmental law that really democratizes the environmental movement, gives each of you the right to stand up at a public hearing and say you're for or against a project. And there are also state laws like New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and similar law in Connecticut that enable you to be heard on these critical decisions affecting your community, its clean air, its clean water, and the kind of development that occurs there. Okay, next slide. So back in 1998, there was a proposal to build a massive coal-fired cement plant just outside of Hudson, New York. This threatened the iconic views from Olana and air quality, not just in the Hudson Valley, but throughout the Northeast United States, throughout New England. And this was a point when people from all around the region united to fight this bad idea. I recall one day when an expert working for St. Lawrence Cement, I believe he was a scientist from Harvard, stood up at a public meeting and said, hey folks, you don't need to worry about the air quality impacts of this proposed plant. It'll have a 400-foot stack. And on any given day, because the air currents carry the pollutants to the northeast region, all the pollution will be in Maine within 6 hours. So I had recently moved from Maine, where I was the environmental commissioner of the state, and to the Hudson Valley. And as I was fighting this fight, I heard those words, and I immediately called my former boss, Governor Angus King, and said, you won't believe what they just said, that this plant is going to be polluting the air from the Hudson Valley, across Connecticut, Massachusetts, all the way to Maine. So the governor said, Ned, draft the letter for me. I'll send it to Governor Pataki, and we'll fight this thing, and we won't give up until it's defeated. During that same period, people from the Hudson Valley, from Eastern Dutchess County, people like Frank Martucci, and from Connecticut, the Harney family, Donald Ross, Meryl Streep, all came together and rallied the citizens, rallied people to contribute to help us bring to bear the expert witnesses that would support our case to stop that plant. And indeed, we did ultimately defeat it in 2005 when the New York State Department said that the project would not only cause adverse environmental and health issues, it would also devastate the economy of the region. So I'm very, very thankful to our friends in the Northwest corner of Connecticut, and viewed that as a shared victory. So as I mentioned, Scenic Hudson is also preserving family farms, both in the Hudson Valley and all the way to the Connecticut border. These provide fresh, healthy produce, and you can go to the next slide, please, that feed people all over the region, including New York City. We created a food shed conservation plan some years ago because we recognized that the Hudson Valley, like Northwest Connecticut, is part of an important agricultural region that feeds the valleys there, but also Westchester and New York City. And these have been particularly crucial in providing access to fresh, healthy food during the emergency. Okay, next slide. We're also conserving land that will ensure that the critical resources that we have in the region are protected as the climate changes. And we're working with the farmers in the region to ensure that agricultural practices, which under normal circumstances actually can cause climate change, are regenerative instead and can lead to actual reversal and sequestering carbon in the soil and in crops.